Two bits of good news on the jobs front tonight. First, two shipyards on the Clyde are to get a much bigger slice of the £4 billion order for two aircraft carriers, which would guarantee thousands of jobs well into the next decade. While Tesco have announced the creation of 200 financial jobs in Edinburgh. Well, our business editor Douglas Fraser is at the BVT shipyard in Govan tonight. Firstly, why has the order there been enlarged?
Well, simple answer, because Clyde Shipbuilders deliver, and they deliver on time. Bear in mind the rest of manufacturing in Scotland is facing spectacularly falling orders and falling confidence as well. But because the customer here at Govan behind me and Scotstoun further upriver, the customer here is the government, and it's committing £4 billion to these two flagships for the Royal Navy that will be built over the next 9 or 10 years. Now, what they're saying is that where previously the stern section, the lower part of the stern section, was going to be built here, that's a very large part of the work, they're now adding a bit of the midsection as well. That's been moved from the north of England, from Barrow in Cumbria, which is exceptionally good news for people on the Clyde. Also some good news about parts of the decking that's going to go to Rosyth in Fife. It's not a model of clarity in this announcement about it, partly because the government making the announcement has many sensitive constituencies in England as well. But nevertheless, it is good news for the Clyde. And happier news too for the somewhat beleaguered financial industry. Well, at the other end of the M8, the finance sector has had a pretty dismal few days of bad publicity going right around the world. But it's odd to say that they are actually recruiting in some businesses. And this is Tesco Personal Finance. It's had its headquarters in Edinburgh for 11 years. It's now moving into a new office, and they're looking for 200 new staff. Now, Benny Higgins, who's the chief executive there, was talking earlier today about Edinburgh's attraction, skilled staff still. He says Edinburgh is still very much the place to be for banking.
Edinburgh and Scotland in general remains a very good reservoir of talent. It's also a place where you can recruit very good people too. A lot of the commentary lately has suggested that Edinburgh has been damaged. I think we've got to remember who we are. I've worked in Edinburgh and in Scotland for a very long time and met people from the business world all over. And I think some of the very best people I've ever met were based in Scotland.
Now, bear in mind, this is a man who used to work with some very unpopular people like Sir Fred Goodwin, Andy Hornby as well at the Bank of Scotland. He lost his job at the Bank of Scotland because he was actually being too cautious. He says caution is going to be a very important part of building up banking again.
Douglas, thank you. A 14-year-old boy has been stabbed in an incident